Do they tolerate it? What is their attitude? Well, average Soviet citizen, if there is such an animal of course, does not like the system because it hurts, it kills. The size of population of a country like Canada is serving terms as prisoners. Most of the doors were open for me. Most of my expenses were paid by the government. And I never had any troubles with the authorities or with the police. And some secretly hope that it will come true. That's interesting. And that was the most disgusting thing that I witnessed as a young student. But I doubt very much there are many people who are conscientiously supporting the Soviet system, who was brought up in a very troublesome period in our history, from Stalin to Khrushchev, from total tyranny and oppression to some kind of liberalization. My ancestors used to live in caves and eat raw meat, when India was a highly civilized nation 6,000 years ago. So obviously the choice was not to the advantage of my own nation. Second, when I started working for the Soviet embassy in India, to my horror, I discovered that we are millions times more oppressive than any colonial or imperialist power in the history of mankind. In this country, at the university level primarily, we read and hear that the Soviet system is different from ours. Since I fell in love with India, I developed something which by KGB standards is extremely dangerous thing. It's called split loyalty, but not that different, and that there is a convergence developing between all of the systems of the world. As every Soviet student, I was quote-unquote volunteering for harvesting grain in Kazakhstan. From your personal experience, what is the difference between life under communism and life in the United States? Well, life is obviously very much different for a simple reason that the Soviet Union is a state capitalist economically. It's a state capitalism where an individual has absolutely no rights, no value. By the end of my training in school, I was recruited by the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system. And he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. This picture was taken on that day, and you can see again how happy it feels to be recruited by the KGB. In 1967, the KGB attached me to this magazine, Look magazine. A group of 12 people arrived to USSR from United States to cover the 50th anniversary of October Socialist Revolution in my country. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. One of his interesting assignments was to brainwash foreign diplomats. When they visited Moscow, Mr. Bazin, he had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was the, and still is I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. And he'll tell us a little bit about how they did this and how they planted information, which eventually wound up in the press of the free world. Mr. Bez, I'd like to begin by having you tell us a little bit about some of your childhood memories. Most of the things that we were taught is that the United States is aggressive power, which is just about to invade our beautiful free socialist country. And we were instructed to go into collective fields to search for those little Colorado bugs. The anti-American paranoia, hysteria, and the Soviet propaganda was of such a higher degree that many less skeptical people or less stubborn would really believe that the United States is just about to invade our beautiful motherland.